Good evening and welcome to Rogers' second annual system-wide celebration of Black History Month. It's not just Black people's history, it's America's history. I am Karen Nelson, Rogers' first Director of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. I am Black, African American, Indigenous, Cherokee to be exact, and part Irish American. My pronouns are she, her, hers. Today's second system-wide Black History Month event is being brought to you by none other than Rogers BIPOC ERG. That's Black, Indigenous, and other people of color resource group. And here are the new leaders. Sherelle Camo, behavioral specialist, Maria Coyutes Noriega, intake specialist, and Elizabeth Davis, outreach representative. You'll hear from them shortly. The BIPOC ERG was in fact the first ERG established at Rogers in early January of 2021. They meet every first Thursdays at 3:30 p.m. Central Time via Teams. Now to the man of this month. Dr. Carter G. Woodson is the man behind Black History Month. This is the 95th anniversary of what began as Negro History Week in 1926 and the official shift to the month-long celebration on the 50th anniversary in 1976 as signed by President Gerald Ford. Take it away, Maria.
Thank you, Karen. And I'm Maria Cuyutas Noriega. I utilize she, her pronouns, and I'm located out of South Florida. Now to our own living Black history at Rogers. Derek Jordan joined Rogers Behavioral Health as Vice President of Operations in Brown Deer in 2020, overseeing inpatient and outpatient services. His master's degree in social work and certification in drug and addiction studies from the University of South Carolina, plus an undergraduate degree in psychology from South Carolina State University, is already delivering positive results here at Rogers. Also, the executive sponsor of the BIPOC ERG, I present Derek Jordan.
Thank you, Maria. And my pronouns are he, his, and him. And I will now share this land acknowledgement. We recognize the land Rogers corporate offices reside upon in Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. Was originally habited by the Potawatomi Indians in the 1700s. Other indigenous peoples have occupied the area, including the Ho-Chunk and Menominee nations. The name Oconomowoc is based in the Potawatomi language. The name refers to the building of dams in the area by beavers. Currently, there are 11 federally recognized Native American sovereign nations in Wisconsin and one brother town not yet federally recognized. This is important to note during the Black History Month because prior to the arrival of the first Africans in America in 1619, Native Americans suffered enslavement. Factually, from 1492 through 1880, between 2 and 5.5 million Native Americans were enslaved in the Americas. That's in addition to 12.5 million enslaved Africans, the only two legally enslaved peoples in America, indigenous peoples and transported Africans. Next, I present our new CEO of the hospital division, Dr. John Boyd.
Hello, Rogers family. I want to start with again acknowledging really at the end of the day, the life-giving and life-saving work linked to our diversity and equity focus at Rogers. For me, this is an area that I'm very passionate about, not only for my own community that I'm a part of, but specifically for the Black community. And it's more than words for me. We know that the stories we tell are essential and important, and they shape us. And unfortunately, a large part of the stories within the Black community have been suppressed or told in a way that has not amplified the strength and leadership of the individuals in these communities. I'm reminded specifically of the plight at times for Black adolescent females as an example, where the incarceration rate or the risk of being treated differently in school are much higher than the average community, and the adultification that sometimes gets placed on them. And I could carve out many segments of the population and share a similar story. These stories have chosen heroes. They have plot lines, and I am so grateful for living the time in which we are living, in which we can bring to life the stories of the incredible heroes in this community specifically. By creating space for those that had been silenced in the past, which I think is a significant part of the gift of film. We can raise the voices of the communities at large. And by doing so, we have not only done the right thing, the ethical thing, we have actually served all of us better by being shaped by the minds, spirits, and souls, specifically in the Black community. Again, I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak and share. I'll give you a little trivia about myself, which is I really love to travel. And when I go into certain communities with especially meaningful history, I will go to the places that are important. My latest visit actually was in 2020, and it was to Greensboro, North Carolina, which was the site on February 1960. There was a sit-in at the lunch counter at Woolworths that actually changed the history moving forward. And I want to honor those humans, those voices, and that work, as well as all of the work that has happened to move our common cause forward for equity and justice and lifting up the voices of everybody. Thank you again for this opportunity. Let's enjoy the rest of the conversation.
Thank you, Dr. Boyd, John. I'm Elizabeth Davis, she, hers, hers. I'm with the Seattle Clinic in Business Development, and I'm here to introduce our moderator for tonight's group discussion, which is Gerard Blanks. He is the Chief Innovation Officer with Milwaukee Film's Cultures and Communities Initiative to showcase diverse cultural experiences, perspectives, and representations through film and event programming. A longtime Milwaukee resident and community organizer, Gerard has all but his dissertation in communication studies at Northwestern University, where he teaches public speaking in Evanston, Illinois. This is Roger's second partnership and internal film screenings with discussion. Gerard.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for having me again. It's exciting to be back with you, especially during Black History Month. Many of you don't know this program that you are now a part of, Engage and Activate. We call it EA here at Milwaukee Film. Actually started with Rogers. It was a program that really, if there's two things that we do well at Milwaukee Film, it's put a film on screen and then host a conversation around it. That's what we do. And during the pandemic, we didn't really have a screen. Our theater was closed. So we had to pivot to the virtual landscape, which was a learning experience for all of us. But one of the things that we found out, sort of the common thread for all of us during the pandemic, is that people felt isolated and needed to talk about any and everything. And so it was your team that actually reached out to us and engaged us in conversation, and we came up with this idea that has really taken off for our organization. So I really want to thank Katie and for making this happen, for starting this. And then Karen and Jessica, you were handed the baton and you've taken it and you've run with it. So enough of the track analogies. Let's talk about the film, The Neutral Ground. I'm excited that you picked this film. Karen gets a lot of credit for it. I usually will have a host of films that I will promote or say, hey, these are the films I think you might want to think about. Karen came to me and said, I got the film. It's The Neutral Ground. It's a film we showed last year during one of our festivals, our Cultures and Communities Festival, and I loved it. And it's funny, I watched it again today, this morning, for like the third or fourth time. I, I can't get enough of it. So anyway, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to sort of lay the groundwork a bit, but then we're going to jump right into breakout groups. We've got about a 20-minute breakout session, and I want to make sure we have enough time for that, because then we're going to come back and we're going to do what we like to call a debrief, where I get to sort of call some people out and we have a discussion in the larger group. Okay. So just to really quickly set the scene, I want you to think about the title, The Neutral Ground. And Karen actually did a little bit of history on it, which I love. So the neutral ground, also known as neutral strip, the neutral territory, or no man's land in Louisiana, was a disputed area between Spanish Texas and the United States newly acquired Louisiana Purchase. Local officers of Spain and the United States agreed to leave the neutral ground temporarily outside of the jurisdiction of either country. The area, now in the heart of downtown New Orleans, officially had neutral status from 1806 to 1821. The director of the film, CJ, chose the term as the title of this film. Why? What is the significance of the term, the neutral ground? I want you to think about that, okay? I also want you to think about, and let's do this. The first question you should think about, other than the title, why the director came up with that title, is what did you think of the film? Before we get into any heavy stuff, I always like for people just to simply say, this is what I thought of the film. Did you like it, love it, hate it, and why? That's really important, okay? So let's unpack that first. Then we've got a couple of other really important questions. The director CJ researched the myths of the lost cause. And so everyone that saw the movie will know what I mean by the lost cause, because that was a really significant point in the film. What myths do you see filling the space around equity and Black history here at Rogers? That's question one. Then question two is, CJ sat with people and got people's answers on both sides of the issue. What worked for CJ to be heard and honors other points of view? How can we do that at Rogers? So there's two questions that you're going to take into, well, there's three. The first one is very simple. What did you think of the film? And then two more pointed, targeted questions that you're going to take into your breakout sessions. All right, you got about 20 minutes, and then you're going to come back and see me. Questions or concerns before we jump into this? And I think, yep, the questions are in the chat. It's always interesting to hear what people think about why a director made a certain decision. A lot of times, why they chose the title of film. And so I'm wondering if there's any other thoughts now that we're back in the large group on why CJ decided on a neutral ground. Because I hear a lot of people taking the word neutral very literally. I'm wondering if anyone has another take on it. So here's what I think. Remember what we started off with. The neutral ground, remember in the beginning when CJ is introducing us to New Orleans, what is the neutral ground? It's that strip in between the trolleys, right?
On Magazine Street.
Yeah, and it is considered, it's sort of disputed territory. It's up for grabs. That's really interesting when you think about it, because for most of the film, CJ finds himself in between these two groups who are both fighting for this space that is disputed and up for grabs. It is the neutral ground, is this ground, that this territory, this space that we're all fighting for. And what's interesting is the way in which CJ navigates through that space. CJ, do not mistake, is not neutral at all. At all. This documentary has an opinion, and it's very well stated. The fact that CJ bothers to listen to people he firmly disagrees with is what makes this film to me exceptional,
Mm.
because he could have just written them off, but he doesn't. He places himself again in this neutral ground, right? Allowing himself to, what one of the things I love about it is how funny the film is. He allows himself to, he makes fun of himself, he's self-deprecating. The scenes with his father are just, I was laughing out loud because it's so great, because CJ doesn't take himself too serious. Because the idea sometimes that we know all the answers is sort of this thing that we tell ourselves, it's almost armor, because a lot of we don't know, right? And we're trying to figure things out. And I love his humility to basically walk in this space trying to figure it out as he goes along. The scene where he's leaving Charlottesville and he is physically, you can
Shake.
yes, shaken. Thank you, Karen. You can feel the fear and the trauma. That for me, like I took it on physically. I could feel what he was feeling in that moment, right? And so one of the things I love about this film is it takes a really serious issue. There are some scenes in there that are very hard to watch, and yet he finds moments of humor. He finds moments of empathy for people that we normally would not feel empathetic for. That to me is that to me is what I think we need more of. It's fine to give your opinion and have your take on things, but can you open up and listen to other people, be empathetic to what they're saying, not try to embarrass and ridicule them, because he could have cut this film in a way that made some of those people look really bad. Instead, what he did was he allowed their words to speak for them. And then we take from it what we want. So um, that's what I took from the title. That's the other thing going on here, right? Is that the idea of even his understanding of identity is disputed.
Mm.
Mhm.
That great scene where he's a comedian, which I didn't see coming, and he's, the idea that people look at him and probably see they don't even think he's black. I just thought CJ was the perfect person for
Mm.
for this particular topic. I just want to thank you all again for having me back again. And Katie, Karen, Jessica, thank you for the work in bringing us in and putting this all together. And you all, this was a great conversation. It went really fast. But that just means we got to do it again. So we'll find another film. We got a few more of these on deck. So if you get an email from Jessica or Karen saying they got a film and there's a talk, go make sure you check it out. Okay. So thank you again.
Thank you again. And now we're going to go to our call to action. Yes, you can go ahead with your rounds of applause. So, Sherelle, are you ready to take us into our call to action?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
All right. So I want to say once again, thanks just for coming, Gerard. Thanks for just that awesome conversation. You led us in a lot of enlightening things. I want to introduce our call to action. With number one of the main things being support Black businesses, such as the ones as today, Milwaukee Film. The link is in the chat and it's up there if you in case you guys want to go and look it up. Hopefully find some more films up there. Next, if you guys are in Milwaukee, we'll be having the reopening of the America's Black Holocaust Museum, which will be opening on Friday. The link is there for access. And then if you are in Atlanta, which Black History Month, one what we have the most BIPOC employees in Atlanta. Also, if in case any guys want to come to Atlanta, or if you're there at any time, I've also put together two resource guides, one of them being 50 over 50 black owned restaurants, complete with breakfast restaurants, brunch, desserts, all the things. We have a lot of food. I'm a big foodie in Atlanta, so we have a lot of black owned restaurants. I was able to put together just a couple of my favorites. Also, therapists. So of course we got to have a lot of the self-care. So I've also come up with the guide, which is a lot of Atlanta's self-care places. So anywhere from nail spas, spas, saunas, different things. So if you guys are ever in Atlanta, definitely check those out. Or even if it's just to take the attachments and send them on to other people, because spreading that awareness is very, very important. Which brings us to the next one. In our very own Rogers, we've put together 28 days of little known Black history facts. Carter G. Woodson, who's actually the #1 on the list, the founder of Black History Month, with starting out with Negro History Week. He's on the list. So if you want to learn a little bit more about that, or just want to pass over some of those facts, we encourage you to continue doing those daily learnings in your huddles. And continue on with our 21-day equity challenge, which is also in your emails. It can also be sent out with just different things, from podcasts, from articles, from books to movies, more documentaries, just anything that just being able to really, really learn the history. And last, be an upstanding bystander, advocate, spread that awareness. We have anti-racism trainings in your Rogers Learning Portal, because not racist is not enough. We want to stay informed, and be sure to please check out the resources on Rogers Connects. And next, I will pass it to Jessica for our closing. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, thanks all. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Jessica Langill. I'm the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Coordinator. My pronouns are she, her, hers. We really hope that you enjoyed our system-wide Black History Month event. I just wanted to let you know that we do have 3 ERGs that were created to help establish a sense of belonging at Rogers. So we have the BIPOC ERG, the LGBTQIA plus ERG, and the Military Veterans and Supporters ERGs. And you can see their meeting times below or on the screen. If you are interested in receiving the meeting link for any of our ERGs, you can go to our equity page on Rogers Connect, or you can reach out to me by email and I can get you added. Please remember that all of our ERGs are open to all Rogers employees to aid in shared learning. The equity team works closely with marketing communications, and the 2022 multicultural calendar of events for the year is also available on our intranet. So the celebration of culture doesn't stop here. Thank you again all for joining us today. Happy Black History Month, and we've got a little bit of music for you to enjoy to wrap it up.
Thank you all, and good night.